If I were to ask you, what's the most essential part of any relationship, any close relationship? Is it caring, kindness? Is it compassion? Is it patience? What if I were to tell you it's none of the above? There's something much more fundamental, much more necessary in every close relationship. And the place we need to look is to the Talmidim of Rebbe Akiva. Those Talmidim, 24,000 of them, died over the period between Pesach and Shavuos, the Yemei Sefira that we're in right now. Why? Chazal say, Lo nogu koved zeh lezeh. They didn't treat each other with enough kavod, with enough respect. Now, it's very possible and likely that those Talmidim were nifter, not for the lack of interpersonal relationship, the lack of respect, but because that lack of interpersonal relationship, that lack of respect, had a heavy bearing on kavod Torah. And since these were the ones who carried the Messiah, these are the ones who were going to teach and carry Torah to the next generation, so it was essential that they were mechabed each other so that the Torah should be a Torah of kavod. That being said, the kernel that we want to see is the lack of kavod and how that impacts us. Let's think about it. What is kavod? What is respect? It says in the Sefiras that a kavod hamedume, kavod is imaginary. When I respect you, it's something imaginary. Why? Because you don't need my kavod. If you're a healthy person, you don't need me to respect you. You have your own respect. You could validate yourself. So why is kavod so important? Why were the Talmidim Rebbe Akiva suffered so much because of the lack thereof? And Chazal say, Eze mechubed mechaber sabriyas. You see the kavod, you see the respect for others is so fundamental, so essential in interpersonal relationship, and it's imaginary. The answer is the following. When I'm mechabed you, when I give you respect, and I'm not talking about fake respect. I'm not talking about chanifa, when I go ahead and I respect you, I honor you, so that I want to get something out of you. I want to manipulate you. I'm talking about real respect. Why is it so necessary? Why is it so necessary if I can validate myself? So why do I need your respect? The answer lies in the following story. The Ramban, Nachmanides, of the greatest of the Rishonim, the greatest rabbis in the last 1,000 years, was challenged to a debate when he lived in Barcelona in Spain. And he said beforehand to the king of that dominion, he said, I'm willing to debate, but I have to be able to say whatever I want. I can't be constricted in what I'm going to say. And we can imagine what he said. They came with him with all the tainas and all of the things that the Gentiles believed in terms of Christianity, in terms of the fact that the Jewish religion wasn't true or wasn't valid anymore, etc. And the Ramban, over a week's time, took all of those tainas, they took all of those claims, and he geschmetted them. He wiped them out. He wiped them out from Tanakh. He wiped them out from the Talmud. He wiped them out from every angle, to the point that the Talmidim came over to him afterwards, and they saw the Ramban, and they were so excited because he brought such kavod to Torah. And what did they find? They found the Ramban was very sad. Very sad. Seemingly broken. The Talmidim said, Rebbe, why do you feel like this? You won the debate. You showed everybody. He said, I know I won, but I lost. Rebbe, what do you mean you lost? I lost because before I had this debate, I didn't have such ideas in my head. Who thought about these things? I know the truth. I know what Torah is. But for a week's time, they put all of this falsehood into my brain, and it's affected me. Now it's in my head. I have to get it out of it. What do we see from this story? We see, despite the fact that Ramban knew the truth, and he felt it, and he had no question about it, nonetheless, he was impacted by the experience of being told things that weren't true, being asked questions that even weren't questions. In other words, I can think a certain thing, I can feel a certain way, But if my experience challenges that, if my experience says otherwise, I will suffer from it. That is what covet's all about. Covet is about, despite the fact that I can validate myself, and I don't need you to respect me or to honor me, because I know what I am. But if you're going to treat me with disrespect, if you're not going to honor that which I know to be true, I'm going to be impacted by that experience, and I'm going to suffer from it. So therefore, Chazal tell us, we must be noi covet with each other. We must treat each other with respect, so that each one of us has the air, the emotional, psychological, and perhaps even spiritual air to breathe. And once we have that, then the door is open to connection. The door is open to love and to caring and compassion and patience and affection, everything. But it must be built upon the foundation of covet, because I must feel about myself and know myself and be able to express myself in a way that I'm not going to be hurt by you. And that's why this inyan of covet is so essential. It's so fundamental. It lies at the rock bottom of every relationship, certainly every close relationship. So let's remember that in these Yemei Sefira, the days where we're counting down towards Matan Torah, at the same time we are experiencing the Avelis for the Talmidim Rebbe Akiva. And let's realize that there no Nogu Kovet Zeh Lezeh has very much application to our lives, how we treat each other, how we treat ourselves. And from that, we should be Zoicher to Kabbalas Torah, which is built upon the covet that we need to show each other.